Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial we are going to see how we can work with SharePoint List using the SharePoint Send HTTP action in Power Automate. My name is Clavin and I work as a technical consultant. You can find my blogs at clavinfernandez.wordpress.com and my Twitter handle is clavinfernandez. Also feel free to ping me on LinkedIn. So what are we going to cover today? We are going to cover how we can create a SharePoint custom list. Remember, there's no action to go ahead and create custom list. We are going to go ahead and create custom columns in the SharePoint list. Once we create the custom columns, we'll add the columns to the default view. And finally, we will wrap up the session by adding few items in the SharePoint list. So without wasting any further time, let's get into the demo. So let's go ahead and create a flow in a Power Automate portal. For this demo, we'll use the manual trigger. And let's go ahead and search for the SharePoint HTTP action. So I'll click on SharePoint and I'll say send. Yeah, so this is the action that we are interested in. So let's click on the action. So if you click on the action, this pretty much looks like a Postman interface in which you need to go ahead and pass a name or a site address, then the method, the URI with which you are going to query. So you see there's an example as well, _API /web, etc. You need to pass in few headers and you need to pass in the body. Now, if I go here and if I try to add an action, SharePoint HTTP, or just click on SharePoint, there are a number of actions out here. So why do you need this action? So many a times, as I told you in the introduction, there's no action to go ahead and create a list. So many a times you can think of this action to be particularly important because if something cannot be managed with existing actions that Power Automate or the SharePoint connector has, you can always use the HTTP action. So HTTP action acts like a savior when something cannot be done using the out-of-box action. So let's go ahead and focus on our first demo, that is creating a list. So to create a list, the first thing that we need is to put in a site address. So I'm going to use my Power Automate tutorial site collection. Now remember, what is the method? The method is get, post, put, patch and delete. So we are going to use the post, the URI. Now how can I get the URI? If you see, there's this nice little example out here which tells us _API _web _list. So if I go to my SharePoint and if I try to query this particular URL, what really happens? Let's go ahead and see. Let me go to my SharePoint and let me go ahead and put this in. So _API _web _list. Whoa, it gives me something like an XML. Now this is the REST API. Remember, if you want to go ahead and put anything in here and if it does not work, the first thing that I do is that I come to my browser, open the browser and put in the URI. So let's understand this. Now if I do a typo in here, it gives me an error. It tells me that the resource cannot be found. So remember, if something does not work, go back to your SharePoint and go ahead and hit the endpoint. Once you go ahead and hit the endpoint, if it gives you a response, it means that you are on the right track. So to create a list, we need to go ahead and use the list endpoint. So _API /web /list. Now once we go ahead and use this, next thing, this is all on the OData standards. Okay, so you need to go ahead and pass the headers. So we are going to go ahead and send the data in the form of JSON. So the header that we are going to use is the accept header first, and it will be of type application JSON and OData Secondly, we are going to go ahead and use the content type out here. So content type, application JSON and OData. So these are the standards. Don't worry too much about it. I know that you are a Power developer. I am one as well. Just follow along and you'll get to know how this works. Next, we need to go ahead and create a body. I'll go ahead and copy a sample onto my notepad, and this is how the body for the SharePoint create list action works. So first and foremost, I say content types allow true. Second, the base file template is 100. Now you will ask me, how do I know that? I went to this article and it gives me a list of all the list template types. So if you want to create a custom list, the template ID is 100. If you want to create a document library, it's 101 and so on. So we are going to create a custom list. So for this, our template ID is 100. Then I say content types enable true. Description, I just give it a description, and then I give this a title. Let's rename this to something. So Clavin Demo HTTP 1. Okay, it's a long name, so I'll just copy this. Now that I have the body, I'll go back to my Power Automate and paste it in. So remember, for this I have hard-coded things, but in real life you are going to go ahead and pass in dynamic values. So I'll just say SharePoint HTTP demo 1 create list, and I'll save it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start the Power Automate manually, and I'll go ahead and click on continue and run. Now I'll go back to my Power Automate tutorials, and if I go to site contents, you see it's already created. It's so quick. My flow ran successfully, and out here you have a SharePoint list. Isn't that awesome? So congratulations, you have gone ahead and learned how to go ahead and create a list from Power Automate. So now that we have gone ahead and created a list, let's go ahead and add few columns. So I'll go ahead and create a new flow, and I'll click on manual flow, and I'll add the action to my flow designer. I need to go ahead and put in the URL of the site collection. So Power Automate tutorial. The method, we are again going ahead and sending the data to SharePoint, so it will be post. Now the interesting part is the URI. So if you remember previously, we went ahead and we created a list using the list endpoint. So I'll go back here, I'll modify the URL such that it goes ahead and first returns me the list, right? So if I do a Control F and if I type in Clavin, you see there is a list named as Clavin, right? So next, what I want to do, I want to go ahead and add fields to this list. So what I can say, get by title, and then I can go ahead and pass the title. Now I'll copy this and I'll hit enter. Oof. So something is wrong with this. So I created a duplicate. I'll go back to site contents, and what's the name of my list? So it's Clavin Demo HTTP 1. Go back here. Okay, it's Clavin Demo SharePoint HTTP 1. I'm not sure from where did I get that list. So remember, this is a very good learning, right? Because I went ahead and had a typo in my list name, it did not return me these things. Now we are into the list. Next, what we want to go ahead and do, we need to go ahead and query the fields. So I'll just type in fields and I'll hit enter. So here you have all the fields. It seems that you have a lot of fields, and out of box SharePoint actually gives you some fields such as created by, modified, modified by. Now if I go back to my Power Automate and if I try to create a column, right, I'll just try to create a column click on more, and if I try to create a column, it first needs a name. Second, it needs me to go ahead and pass what type of column it is, so the kind of column. Third, description is optional, and then I can go ahead and modify these things. But most importantly, the radio button is the type of column and it needs a column name. So let's go ahead and go back to our Power Automate and let's create our body. Before we create the body, we need to pass in the URI, which we have it out here. So I can just say _API and /web list get by title, my list name, and so on. So this is my endpoint. I have tested it in the browser and it looks okay. So as mentioned previously, we'll use the same headers, application JSON, as well as the content type, as well as accept headers. Now if you remember, what did I tell you? The first thing that it needs, it's the title, the name of the column, and second, it goes ahead and needs the type of the column. So we are going to use the type SP field because we want to create an SP field. Then field type kind. So field type kind is which kind of field it is. Now you'll say, Clavin, I should type in single line of text, multi-line of text. How do you know that? What is 2 out here? So 2 is the column type enumeration. So if I go down and if I just search for 2, you see 2 is a type of text column. So if you want to create a column of type GUID, you'll use foreign. If you want to create date time, you'll use 4. Next, what you want to do, you need to give your column a name. So I'll give my column a name and I'll say Clavin text column. And that's pretty much it, right? These are the 2 mandatory fields that you need to pass. So I'll save my flow. I'll click on test, click on manual. I'll go back to my SharePoint, go back to my list, click on list settings. So no column known as Clavin out here. So Clavin text column, I'll click on save, continue, run. So if everything has worked correctly, we should have a column within few seconds. Yes, our flow ran successfully. I'll go to list settings. I'll refresh my page, and here you see we have a column known as Clavin text column of single line of text. So a field is added, but if I go back to my Clavin's demo 1, I don't see the field out here. So if I want to add the field, I can click on show hide columns. I can go ahead and select this and go ahead and add the field out here. But we don't want to do it using the UI. We want to do it using the Power Automate. So let me go back and create a new Power Automate instant flow. I'll go ahead and add my SharePoint HTTP action onto my flow canvas and I'll leave it out here. The next important thing is I need to go ahead and find which endpoint I want to query. So let's look at this in this way. This is my SharePoint list, and how do I add the column manually? I can do it from here, but the traditional way to do it was clicking on list settings, selecting the view. So it's a part of the view, so I need to select the view, and then I need to go ahead and find the column, checkbox it, and click on OK. So the view name is all items. Remember this is very important. So we need to go ahead and add the column to the all items view. So let's go ahead and try to get our REST endpoint, right? So again, I'll just make a duplicate of it. I'll go ahead and change this. So remember, first we need to query the list to go ahead because we went into the list, right? So we need to query the list. So I'll just quickly copy my list name. I had a typo previously which caused an error. So this looks good. I'll hit enter. Okay, we are into the list. Now what next? From the list, we need to get into the view, right? So we need to get into the views. So I'll just type in views. Okay, perfect. We are into the view as well. Now what next? Next, we need to go ahead and remember what I told you. We need to go ahead and query the all items view, right? So let me just type in all items. So I'm into the all items. I'll hit enter. Next, I want to go ahead and view which fields are there in the default view. So I'll type in view fields /. So as I see out here, I just have one field, right? I just have one field, that is title. I want to add another field. Now to add another field, we need to go back to Power Automate. We have 90% of our URL ready, so I have copied it onto my clipboard. So I'll just query my site. Again, we are going to send data because we want to add data, so it's post. Next, what I want to do, I want to go ahead and create fields. So I can type in add view fields. So I'll add the view field, and then I can go ahead and give my field the name of the field that I want to add. So the name of the field that we want to add is Clavin text column. So I'll just copy this, go back to my Power Automate, paste it in, and that's done. The headers will be the same, so I'll just quickly copy them from my clipboard, and that's pretty much it. So do I need to pass the body? No, right? Because I have already used the add field and I have told which field to add. So I'll save my Power Automate and I'll try to test it. Let's try my luck. If everything goes as expected, I'll go back, and there's no Clavin text view in the default view. So I'll just click on continue, I'll click on run, and I'll click on done, and my flow ran successfully. So if I go back and if I refresh my screen, here you have it. You have the view, and in the view you have the column, that is Clavin text column. So now you have also gone ahead and added a column to the default view, that is the all items view. So now that we have added this column, now let's go ahead and look at how we can add few items to this view. So we have two columns, one is the title and one is the Clavin text column, right? Let me go ahead and quickly create a new flow, and let me click on create. Now next I'm going to add the SharePoint HTTP action. I'm going to query my Power Automate tutorials. Again, I need to send the data, so it's going to be post. Now we need to go ahead and build up the URI. So when I click on add, it opens up a pane, and when it opens up a pane, I see that it tells me that I need to go ahead and create a new item, right? So technically I need to go ahead and query the URL with which I can create an item. So I'll copy this part because first the item needs to be created in the view. So I'll go back here. So let me change this. So it needs to be created in the list. So here I'm querying the list, and next what I want to do, I want to create items, right? So there should be something like items, and here you see that my list is empty and I have no items. So this is the endpoint that I need to hit to go ahead and create the items. So I'll click on copy, I'll go back to my Power Automate, and I'll copy this and paste it in. So the headers, will be the same. I'll just copy the headers real quick. Now the body. Now for the body, just remember we need to pass in the items, right? So I'll just type in the name of the column. So first column name was title. So this is JSON. So I'll just quickly tell it title Mr. comma, And next, what I want to type in, the name of the column for which I want to add the list item to. So first column was the title. The second column was Clavin text column, right? So I'll just type in Clavin text column. So Clavin text column. And then I'll just type in sample. So I'm giving it a value. So it's a key value pair, right? It's JSON. So this is the key and this is the value. So sample text for demo. And I think this is pretty much it. So if I save my flow, let's go back. There's nothing in the list. And if I go ahead and try to test it manually, and if I click on continue and run, and if I click on done, it fails. So it fails because the property Clavin list text column does not exist. So I think I have a typo. So let me just see. So I'm into the list settings and I'm going to try to copy the internal name of the field. So let's try that. And let me click on save. Let me try to manually run it again. And this time my flow ran successfully. So what I did is that I went to the list settings, I clicked on the column and I copied the internal name of the column from here, and then I passed it in Power Automate. So let's go back, and here you see that you have also added a value to the column in the SharePoint list. I hope this session was informative and thank you for listening.